Hello everyone and welcome to the very first video on this channel. I'm so happy you're here. I started this channel because I believe that some books carry ideas so powerful, so life-changing that they deserve to be shared with as many people as possible. Do you ever wonder why you are the way you are? Why certain things scare you? Why you find it hard to trust people? Why you feel deeply connected to some people and completely closed off from others? Most of us blame our childhood, our parents, our experiences growing up. But what if the real answer goes back even further than that? What if it goes back to before you were born? And today, I want to share with you one of the most remarkable books I have ever come across. It was written by a psychiatrist named Dr. Thomas Verny, and the story of how this book came to exist is itself quite beautiful. It started one winter evening in 1975. Dr. Verny was visiting friends at a countryside cottage. His friend Helen was 7 months pregnant. Every evening, Dr. Verny would find her sitting alone by the fireplace, softly singing a lullaby to her unborn baby. That image stayed with him. And when Helen told him later that no matter how hard her newborn cried, the moment she sang the same lullaby, he went completely quiet. Dr. Venny could not let the question go. Was her baby recognizing the song it had heard before it was born? That one question sent him on a 6 year journey across America, Europe, and beyond. Speaking to neurologists, obstetricians, and psychiatrists, gathering evidence that would completely change what the world believed about life before birth. And what he discovered was so extraordinary, so far beyond what anyone in the medical world was ready to accept, that he felt he had no choice but to write it all down. The book he wrote is called The Secret Life of the Unborn Child, one of the most important books ever written about how human beings are formed. After reading it, I genuinely could not stop thinking about it for days. Let me tell you why. For most of the human history, we assumed one thing about babies in the womb, that they were waiting, just waiting, blank, unaware, like a seed in the ground before spring. We believed that a person only truly began mentally and emotionally after they were born, after they had experiences, after they had language. The great psychologist Sigmund Freud believed personality did not even start forming until the child was 2 or 3 years old. And for decades, the entire medical world agreed. They were wrong, not slightly wrong, not a little off, completely wrong. And the proof came not from one study, not from one scientist, but from laboratories across America, Europe, Sweden, Austria, France, and New Zealand, from neurologists and audiologists, obstetricians, and psychiatrists, all finding the same thing. The unborn child was not waiting, it is living, feeling, learning, remembering, and everything happens around it. Every sound, every stress, every moment of love or fear is shaping the person it will become. This is the story. Let us start with something simple. From about the 6th month in the womb, a baby can hear clearly, not muffled distant sounds, but real recognizable sounds. Its mother's voice, its father's voice, loud noises, arguing, laughing, and it responds. Play soft classical music near a pregnant belly, and the baby settles. Heart rate steadies. Kicking slows, it relaxes. Play loud rock music, and the baby kicks hard, frantically, like it is trying to get away from the noise. One pregnant woman had to leave a rock concert because her baby kicked so violently she was in pain. By the 5th or 6th month, the baby is as sensitive to touch as 1 year old. Press on mother's belly and the baby moves away. Inject cold water near it and the baby kicks in protest. Add something sweet to the amniotic fluid and the baby swallows more. Add something bitter and the baby grimaces and stops. From around the 16th week, the baby can sense light. Shine a torch directly on the mother's belly and the baby turns away and its heart rate jumps. This is not a passive creature. This is a being that is tasting, hearing, feeling, and reacting to its world every single day. Now, let me tell you about Boris. Boris Brott was the conductor of Hamilton Philharmonic Symphony in Canada. Talented, respected, well known in the music world. But Boris had a secret that puzzled him for years. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, he would pick up a piece of music he had never seen before, never studied, never practiced, never consciously heard in his life, and he would already know it, not roughly, not vaguely, completely. He would be conducting it for the very first time, and somehow he already knew exactly where the music was going before he turned the page. Every turn, every resolution, every breath. And it was always the cello line that felt most familiar, most like home. He mentioned this strange ability during a radio interview one evening. The interviewer asked him, "Where do you think this comes from?" Boris paused, and then he said, This may sound strange, but I think music has been part of me since before I was born." He later told his mother, a professional cellist, about the pieces he mysteriously already knew. She went quiet. Then she told him every single piece he had always known, she had played it while she was pregnant with him. He had heard it all. In the womb, before he had a name, before he had words, before he had single conscious memory. And his brain, the tiny, forming, incredible brain, had kept it, all of it, for a lifetime. So how does this actually work? How does a mother's emotional state reach her unborn baby? The answer is in the blood. When a mother feels an emotion, any emotion, her brain translates it into chemistry, hormones flood her bloodstream, stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol when she is anxious, calming hormones when she is relaxed and safe. Those hormones travel through her blood and they cross the placenta directly into the baby's blood. Within seconds, the baby does not understand what's happening. It has no words for it, no context, but it feels physically. Its heart rate changes, its body tenses or relaxes, its whole chemistry shifts. And here is the crucial part. When this happens once, it's just a moment, but when it happens again and again and again, day after day, month after month, the baby's developing brain start to accept it as normal. If the mother is chronically anxious, the baby's nervous system learns that the world is a threatening place. It develops on a hate trigger, always ready for danger. If the mother is consistently calm and loving, the baby's nervous system learns that the world is safe, that people can be trusted, that life is good. Dr. Lester Sonntag, who studied this as far back in the 1940s, called it somatopsychics, mind before the mind even fully exists. Here is a finding that stopped scientists in their tracks. Dr. Michael Lieberman was studying how a mother smoking affected her unborn baby. He attached sensors to pregnant mother bellies to monitor the baby's heartbeat. He expected to see the baby react when the mother smoked. What he did not expect was this. The baby's heartbeat changed before she even lit the cigarette, before she picked it up, before she opened the packet. Just one thought of having a cigarette, that silent private thought inside the mother's mind, caused a tiny chemical shift in her body, and the baby felt it instantly. Think about what that means. Your unborn child is not just reacting to your actions, it is reacting to your thoughts, your feelings, the things you have not said to anyone. The worries you carry alone at 3 in the morning. All of it reaches the baby, not because anything is wrong, not because the mother is failing, simply because they share the same blood, the same chemistry, the same living system. Of all the stories in this book, this is the one that stayed with me the longest. A baby girl was born healthy, good weight, strong, no complications. When the nurse brought her to her mother for the first feeding, the baby turned her head away. The doctor thought maybe she's tired. Maybe it's just a difficult moment. He tried again the next day. Same thing. The baby refused her mother every single time. But this baby was clearly hungry. She wanted to eat. So, what's the problem? The doctor quietly arranged an experiment. He asked another mother on the ward to try feeding the baby. The baby fed immediately, hungrily, without any hesitation at all. The doctor went back to the baby's mother. He asked her gently but directly, "Did you actually want this pregnancy?" The woman looked at him and she said, "No, I wanted an abortion. My husband insisted on keeping the baby, so I had her." The baby was 4 days old and she already knew. She had spent 9 months inside a mother who did not want her. Feeling that rejection through chemistry, through tension, through all the small signals a body sends when a heart is closed. And now, with the only power available to a 4-day-old human being, she refused to go back. She was protecting herself. This was not a cruel mother. This was a complicated human situation. But the baby could not know that. The baby only knew what she had felt, and she responded to it. Dr. Gerard Rotman wanted to understand this more deeply. So, he studied 141 pregnant women and sorted them into 4 groups based on how they truly felt about being pregnant. Not what they told people, not what they performed for the world, how they actually felt. Group 1. Women who genuinely, wholeheartedly wanted their babies. These women had the easiest pregnancies, the smoothest deliveries, and they had the healthiest, happiest, and most emotionally secure babies. Group 2. Women who told everyone they were happy, but privately carried doubts they did not even fully acknowledge to themselves. Their babies were born with more digestive problems, more crying, more unsettled behavior. The babies had detected the hidden ambivalence, even though the mother herself was barely aware of it. Group 3. Women who consciously did not want the pregnancy but somewhere deep inside a part of them did. Their babies were born confused, passive, withdrawn, as though they had received 2 completely opposite messages for 9 months and simply did not know what to believe. Group 4. Women who clearly and deeply rejected the pregnancy. These pregnancies had the most complications, the highest rates of premature birth, the most troubled babies. The conclusion was uncomfortable, but it was clear. How a mother feels about her baby, truly feels in the quietest parts of herself, is the most powerful force shaping that baby's earliest emotional life. More than diet, more than exercise, more than any supplement or preparation, the feeling. For a long time, the father was considered almost irrelevant to pregnancy. He provided the biology at the beginning and then he waited. The research in this book says that view is not just wrong, it's dangerous. Dr. Dennis Scott studied over 1,300 children and their families, and he found something striking. A woman living in a difficult, unhappy marriage runs a 237% greater risk of having a baby with emotional or physical problems. 237%, greater than the risk from smoking, greater than the risk from physical illness, greater than the risk from hard physical labor during pregnancy. An unhappy marriage is one of the greatest threats to an unborn child's well-being. But the research also showed something beautiful. Babies in the womb can hear their father's voice, and the fathers who talk to their babies softly, regularly, just letting the baby hear them. Those babies, when born, could pick out their father's voice in a room full of noise with the first hour or 2 of life. And if they were crying, the moment they heard that familiar voice, they stopped because they already knew him. He had been there all along. Let me tell you about a 6-year-old boy named Ricky. Every night, Ricky woke up screaming. He cursed in words no child his age should know. He cried out about a blinding white light. He spoke in phrases that sounded like another language. Night after night after night, his parents took him to a doctor after doctor. Nobody could explain it. Then, one evening, Ricky's mother heard a radio broadcast. A therapist was talking about something called birth memories. The idea that traumatic births could leave deep impressions on babies memories that might surface years later. And something shifted in her. She started remembering the night Ricky was born. He had come too early. The delivery was an emergency. He had arrived nearly dead. The exhausted doctors had cursed out loud in their desperation. A priest had been called to say last rites over the dying baby. In Latin, the blinding light, the hospital delivery room, the cursing, the frustrated doctors, the foreign language, the priest's Latin prayers. Ricky was not having nightmares. He was replaying his own birth over and over every single night because his mind had stored it all and did not know how to let it go. When his mother finally understood this, when she sat with Ricky and they talked about it, named it, brought it into light, the nightmare slowly faded. He had just needed someone to understand what he had been through, even though none of it happened after he was born. We almost never think about birth from the baby's point of view. We think about the mother's pain, the doctor's decisions, the excitement of the family waiting outside. But nobody asks what the baby is experiencing. For 9 months, the baby has known one word: warm, dark, rhythmic, safe. The mother's heartbeat has been constant. The sound that means all is well. And then suddenly, contractions, enormous pressure squeezing from every direction. The baby is pushed through a narrow passage. Its soft skull is compressed for hours, and at the end of it, in a typical modern hospital, cold air, blinding lights, loud sounds, strangers in masks. Dr. Verny spent years studying how birth experiences affect later life, and what he found was sobering. Babies born naturally and gently with calm, present mothers tend toward trust, openness, and confidence. Babies born by emergency cesarean often grew up with deep hunger for physical touch because they missed the sensory journey of birth, the first time their body was held and moved through the world. Babies born after very traumatic complications show higher rates of anxiety, learning difficulties, and emotional struggles in later life. Dr. Sanov Mednick in Copenhagen studied young people from high-risk backgrounds. Of those who developed schizophrenia, 70% had experienced serious birth complications. Of those who did not develop schizophrenia, only 15% had any complications at all. Birth is not just a medical procedure. For the baby, it is the most intense experience of its entire life so far, and it leaves a mark. So, what is the answer to all of this? If the womb shapes us so deeply, if birth leaves such marks, what can we actually do? Dr. Verny is very careful to say he's not trying to terrify parents. A bad day does not damage your baby. A moment of doubt does not damage your baby. A stressful week, a hard argument, a night of worry. These are normal parts of human life. The baby is resilient. The baby can handle the ordinary difficulties of living. What the baby cannot handle, what the research consistently shows leaves the deepest remarks, is being unwanted. Not the occasional worry, not the passing fear, but the sustained daily chronic experience of a mother who did not choose this, who resents it, who has closed herself off from the life inside her. And what protects the baby more than anything else, more than diet, more than rest, more than any medical intervention is wanting it. Genuinely, warmly, truly welcoming the life that is growing inside you. Talking to it, singing to it, resting your hand on your belly and just letting it know you are there, because it can feel all of that. It is already feeling it right now. Dr. Verny received a letter from a woman. She was 41 years old. She wrote about the day she was sitting holding her 3-month-old granddaughter and feeling something she could not explain, a deep, wordless warmth, a connection that felt almost physical. She wrote that same bond existed with her own daughter and had for decades. And then she wrote about her own childhood. She had never felt that with her mother. Growing up, she had always wondered, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel so separate? Why does everyone else seem to love their mother so naturally? The only warmth she had known as a child was from her grandmother, a gentle Scottish woman who would take small stolen moments washing her face and pausing to stroke her hair, playing a tiny game, lingering just a little longer than necessary. Just enough. Decades after grandmother died, the woman visited her grave for the first time, and standing there, she heard something, a lullaby, playing quietly in her mind. A song she has been hearing in small fragments her entire life. Just pieces, never the whole thing, without ever knowing what it was and where it came from. She ended the letter with one sentence. Until I met my husband, she was the only person I saw who loved me from her eyes. This is what this whole book is really about. Not hormones, not neuroscience, not research papers. It's just the eyes that love you. And how early, how impossibly, heartbreakingly early, we know whether those eyes are there or not. I want to end with a simple thought. The woman who wrote the letter to Dr. Verny, the one who said, "Until I met my husband, she was the only person who loved me from her eyes." She was 41 years old when she wrote that. 41 years old. And she was still feeling the absence of a bond that was never formed in the very beginning of her life. This is how deep this goes. This is how long it lasts. And that is why this book matters. Not just for the pregnant mothers, not just for the new parents. For all of us who are trying to understand why we feel the way we feel. Why we love the way we love. Why some connections feel like coming home and others feel like standing outside the cold. The answers, at least some of them, began before any of us can remember. The book is The Secret Life of Unborn Child by Dr. Thomas Verny. I cannot recommend this enough. If this video meant something to you, please share it with someone who is expecting, or someone who is trying to understand themselves a little better, or someone who simply needs to be reminded that love we receive at the very beginning of our lives, however we received it or did not, mattered more than we ever knew. If you are new here and enjoyed this, please subscribe. There are many more books and stories like this one coming. Read it, think about it, and if you're pregnant, talk to your baby today. They're already listening. Bye-bye.